Lori Saroya. Please Google her. Look at the stories of women and know what happened to them. This civil rights leader allegedly asked her for a sexual favor, and his name is Nihadawa. Who is he? He's the head of care in America. For God's sake, we want these men to be held accountable. We want to stop the funding of MSAs. I met with the Jewish organizations who are so worried about young Muslim students in medical colleges that are coming and telling them, we don't want to hear about your Holocaust because that offends us. Two imams that are our allies and went to March of Israel, March of Living with Us. 50 Muslims went to March of Living with Us. They stood at Auschwitz and they prayed. They are with you, and they are here to break this patriarchy with the Muslim sisters. But we need you guys to know what's happening.
Thank you so much. The impact that nobody seems to be talking about is something that I want to talk to you about, Carolyn, Dr. Hellman. You know, you have specialized in really looking into the impact of trauma, and especially you deal with survivors. But my question to you is, yes, what is the impact on the individual who's been traumatized and violated like that? But what is the impact on the family? And what is the impact on the community? And then, what is the impact on the entire world?
Thank you so much for making this happen. I mean, it's just incredible that we're having this conversation and that this film is getting airtime. I mean, we really owe you for that. I just want everyone to just, with me for a moment, just take a nice deep breath. Just breathe in and breathe out. And I know that's a hippy-dippy thing to do, but we've actually all experienced at least a minor trauma this evening, or tertiary trauma as we call it, because we have borne witness, not to the explicit images, but to the testimonies of what happened on October 7th. And I just want to lay out some stats. Working with survivors, this is a particularly egregious instance or series of acts of violence. Violence or rape as a tool of war started in the late Middle Ages when rape was considered a way to show your manhood. It was considered a common or normal part of the spoils of war, and since that time, literally millions of women have been raped, mostly women, some men. We had a commission after World War II documenting that, the rape of Nanjing, World War II, you name it, in the former Yugoslavia. As you noted, Heidi, it is happening right now. It is happening in Ukraine. It is happening in Haiti. And we're talking about organized, systemic use of rape as a tool of sexual violence, as a tool of war. And the rapes that happened on women on October 7th were a war against their body. And 96% of rape survivors will suffer post-traumatic stress disorder within the first 2 weeks. 51% will have lifelong post-traumatic stress disorder. So we actually do understand that the trauma that happens with rape. We understand it because we understand PTSD of veterans coming back from war. We understand the flashbacks, the sleeplessness. You're going to have issues sleeping tonight because of your tertiary trauma from bearing witness to this, right? Many of you are. We're talking about depression. We know that rates of depression for trauma for those who've experienced rape and sexual assault are 3 times what they are for folks who have not. We know that suicidal ideation and death by suicide is over 2 times more common for rape survivors. And so what is happening with these families right now is the survivor's identity has been shaken, the family's identity has been shaken, their community's identity has been shaken, mostly because of a myth that drives victim blaming. And that myth is, and this is why we, even though we know better, many of us do not believe survivors or want to blame them or hold them somehow accountable. What was she wearing? What was she doing? What was she, why was she out at night? We tell this story because to tell the truth, which is that we don't control these acts of criminal violence, right? And that the survivor is not at all responsible for a criminal, felonious act against her. If we tell that truth, then it means we can't control it. It means that our daughters are on college campuses where they face higher rates of rape and sexual assault than if they don't go to college. It means that we are not in control of this, and so what ends up happening is that a lot of survivors face victim blaming. I hope that none of these survivors do, but I will tell you right now, the struggle is literally to keep these rape survivors alive. The suicidal ideation and what happens for the next couple of years, it will take all of the family's resources to focus on that survivor. It will take community resources to focus on her. And what happens, and I want to just tie this back into so much of what's been said on the panel, if I may, what happens is that all of these symptoms of trauma are exacerbated when you face something that Jennifer Fried has called institutional betrayal.